Hi, I'm Allison Quistgard, and this is Health and Wellness Masters. We're coming to you today on location at 1440 Multiversity in the teaching kitchen in the beautiful Scotts Valley, Santa Cruz Mountains. And my guest today is Dr. Andrew Weil, and we're so excited. So Dr. Weil, thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
And I wanted to say congratulations on the dedication and the naming of the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine. Obviously, you know, a huge tribute to the work and years of dedication.
Yeah, it's been wonderful to see that. We're a center of excellence at the university and the world leader in training physicians and allied health professionals in integrative medicine.
Well, and it's so important because not enough doctors, obviously, as we know.
Right, there are glaring omissions in medical education, such as nutrition and information about botanical medicine and the strengths and weaknesses of alternative medical systems and how the mind affects the body. So we're trying to remedy all of that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here we go. We're going to start with the basics. Will you please explain the definition of integrative medicine?
Well, the short answer is it's the intelligent combination of standard medicine and natural and preventive medicine with a great emphasis on lifestyle. We're also willing to look around the world and bring into the mainstream treatments that we feel are not harmful and show reasonable evidence of efficacy.
Like that, okay. What are the strengths and weaknesses of standard medicine?
Standard medicine is very good at dealing with crises. You know, it's more and more, I think, a specialty focused on critical and severe illness. So if I were in a serious car accident, I wouldn't want to first go to a shaman or a chiropractor. I'd want to go to a trauma center and get put back together. But then as soon as I could, I might use other methods to speed the healing process. So for critical illness, fast-moving illness, severe illness, I think standard medicine works very well. It's good at preventing illness through immunization, attention to public health. I think that standard medicine is not very good at managing most of the chronic diseases that are now epidemic in our society, things like hypertension, type 2 diabetes, many kinds of chronic conditions.
Okay, and then what are, in terms of integrative medicine, what are the alternatives?
Well, when I do a treatment plan for a patient, almost always I start off with dietary adjustment. So the first thing is using diet as a primary therapeutic strategy. I also make use of dietary supplements, of natural remedies like herbs. I'm a great believer in mind-body medicine, so I frequently refer people to hypnotherapists, to biofeedback practice, to guided imagery and visualization. I've seen great results with those. I make selective use of elements of Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and I often refer people. For instance, I've seen great results with ulcerative colitis and inflammatory bowel disease with Chinese medicine. I've seen Ayurvedic medicine do very well with asthma and lifestyle-related diseases. I believe in manual medicine, hands-on medicine, and I'm especially a fan of osteopathic manipulative technique. So I frequently,
parasympathetic?
Yes, so I frequently refer people to DOs who do manual medicine.
Okay. So doctors, sadly, are not trained in nutritional or botanical medicine. Do you see that changing in the future?
Well, we're certainly changing it. Our main teaching is a 1,000-hour fellowship given over 2 years, mostly online with some residential time in Tucson, and nutrition is a very important part of that curriculum. We also have trainings for medical residents, medical students that include nutrition. We've held annual nutrition conferences for the past 14 years. To bring nutrition researchers together to present their findings to clinicians.
You've indicated that there's a health crisis in America. Can you define that problem?
Well, there's two. We have a health crisis and a healthcare crisis. The health crisis is that we have epidemics of lifestyle-related diseases that we seem unable to manage. I think the larger issue is that we don't really have a healthcare system. We have a disease management system that's functioning very imperfectly. It is quite possible that whole system is going to crash. We're spending something like 18% of our gross domestic product on healthcare, and we have worse health outcomes than any developed country. The World Health Organization rates us 38th on a par with Serbia. And that's any way you look at it. It's infant mortality, longevity, rates of chronic disease. Something's really wrong with that picture. So I think the challenge is to turn this enterprise of disease management back in the direction of health promotion and disease prevention, and also to break the dependence of conventional medicine on expensive technology, including pharmaceuticals. And a big problem is that most doctors are not trained in other methods of managing disease that don't involve drugs and other forms of expensive technology.
So let me ask you, how can people take back their own health? And what I mean by that is I feel like people have sort of given themselves over to the men in the white coats. They take no accountability in their own health and wellness, and they just sort of say, oh, I have this, you get a pill, you take the pill, and they walk away, and that's what they're supposed to do. How do we get people to just take ownership of
The first
health?
philosophical principle of integrative medicine is that the human organism is capable of repairing itself and maintaining health. I think many people have no confidence in their body's own ability to regulate itself and be healthy, and I feel very much that health is a personal responsibility. So that means you have to get the information about what is a healthy diet, how should you be exercising, how you manage stress. You know, these are lifestyle issues. They can be taught. I think this is something that we should be emphasizing in K through 12 education. I think that doctors should model health for patients and motivate them to take greater responsibility for their own well-being.
Okay, so what's the future of medicine? Big Pharma doesn't exactly want things to change. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's other vested interests that don't want things to change either. But I think time is on our side. These epidemics of lifestyle-related diseases are only going to increase. Our healthcare costs are only going to increase. Something's got to change there. You know, I think integrative medicine is the way of the future, and its great promise is that it can produce better health outcomes at lower cost. And I think one day we'll be able to drop the word integrative and it'll just be good medicine.
Right? Okay, let's talk about big food and the future of food. It's really disturbing to me that while the CDC now recommends more fruits and vegetables, the federal government's still subsidizing all those commodity crops.
People eat what's cheap and what's available, and we've made the unhealthiest food cheapest and most available. And some of that is because of this pattern of government subsidies. We subsidize commodity crops like corn and soy, and as a result, we have very cheap ingredients like refined soybean oil and high fructose corn syrup that are everywhere in processed food. We don't subsidize fruits and vegetables, which are out of the reach of many people in this country. So that has to change.
So what can people do? What can I go do?
Well, you want to educate yourself and learn. You know, that many people think
But with
that
your pocketbook and the grocery
exactly.
store.
But the fact is that many of the healthiest foods are not expensive. Things like beans, for example, which are very good sources of protein and fiber, are cheap. What's most expensive in the supermarket are animal protein foods. It's meat especially. And if you reduce that in the diet and eat more vegetable protein, you can move in a healthier direction and also cut food costs.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left, but I want to ask you a question. So tell me about, what type of diet or healthy eating habits do you suggest?
I recommend an anti-inflammatory diet, and people can access that on my website, drweil.com, or in all my books. I base this on the Mediterranean diet because we have so much scientific evidence for that being a healthy way to eat. I tweaked it by adding Asian influences to it, like mushrooms and green tea and spices like ginger and turmeric. I think containing inappropriate inflammation is your best shot at longevity and reducing risks of chronic disease. This is not a difficult way to eat. It doesn't eliminate the pleasure from food. I think eating should be pleasureful. I have an anti-inflammatory diet pyramid. At the very top is dark chocolate, which is a health food, for example. So I recommend people.
I thought that was an entire food group.
Yes, exactly.
Dark chocolate. Right. Okay. So sugar.
Well, there is more and more research suggesting that sugar is a major dietary culprit. I'm not so sure that people can live without sugar entirely, but I think it's very good to try to cut sugar consumption. And a very good place to start is with sweet drinks. If people could just stop drinking sweet liquids, that would be an enormous step forward. And it's not just soda, it's also fruit juice, it's energy drinks, it's the habit of putting sugar in coffee and tea. If people would just stop that, that would put us way ahead of the curve.
Okay, question about sweeteners. So it's my understanding, of course I'm not a doctor, so
Yeah.
it's my understanding that if you have any sugar of any kind, whether it's from fruit or whether it's from another sugar source, honey, syrup, whatever. I know your favorite's maple syrup and it's a low glycemic index.
Right.
If you use a sweetener like Splenda or stevia, I mean, stevia is
There's-
natural, but like, doesn't the liver process it the same way, in which case it's sort of all the same?
There's several problems. One is that I think if the brain gets a message that sweet calories are coming and then they don't, I think this sets up patterns in the brain for cravings that get you into worse relationships with food. So, I see people that drink 6 liters of diet soda a day, really, and they're in the worst relationships of food of any people that I see. These non-nutritive sweeteners don't help you lose weight. They also cause major problems in your microbiome, the gut flora, and probably changing it in ways that may favor obesity. So I think you're much better off not using any of these.
Okay. If people want to know more about you or the Center for Integrative Medicine, how can they get in touch? Where should they go?
Okay, well, go to my website, drweil.com, drweil.com, and then go to our center's website, which is integrativemedicine.arizona.edu. Okay. And you can learn all about our educational programs there.
I have a question about antibiotics. What do you think about that with childhood immunizations?
What do you mean with child?
Well, I mean, there's so many. Okay, so all of a sudden, measles or mumps, things are starting to come back because people are choosing not to immunize their kids.
Right? Yes,
I
exactly.
immunized mine, but
I'm strongly in favor of immunization.
Okay.
Strongly in favor. The benefits greatly outweigh the risks. I think you can question whether we're giving too many vaccines at once, whether we're starting them too early. Those are legitimate questions, but the benefits of immunization greatly outweigh the risks. Antibiotics, I think the best advice I can give you is you don't take them unless they're really, really necessary.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
It was such a pleasure to have you.